Hello, travelers, and monster catchers abound. I'm Stella Ferris, and you have crash landed on the Monster Catchers Journal podcast. Join me as we trek through the stars to the Exxon Galaxy, where my planet, Nibiru, is. I hope this podcast finds you well on whatever planet you may be on. Today, I will be telling 3 stories from my monster catching journey, so stay tuned and I hope you enjoy. So, this first story is a rather weird one because it's the final form of anubrax. And his name's weird to say, but anyways, and it's called the anupig. But anyways, the frostmire stretched out before me like a frozen labyrinth, its icy spires and jagged cliffs cutting into the gray sky. The air was bitter cold, and the snow crunched loudly underfoot. Frostmire wasn't just a landscape, it was a test of survival. Somewhere deep in its frosty depths lurked Anupig, a creature that resembled Anubis, but with a grotesque pig snout. Legends claimed it guarded the ruins of a long-lost civilization, breathing icy fog that could freeze even the most resilient adversaries. Armed with my 3 glyphs, beak, the golden scarab with a duck beak, Shadowclaw, the griffin made entirely of shadows, and Chaos Serpent, the massive beast of Nibiru, I set out to find the creature. The ruins weren't hard to locate. Jagged stone columns jutted out from the icy ground, glistening with frost. I spotted movement in the distance. There, standing atop a mound of ice, was a new pig. Its sleek black body was imposing, its icy blue eyes glowing ominously. Frost curled from its pig snout as it let out a guttural growl. It locked eyes with me and charged. I released beak first, the scarab darting through the air and firing golden beams of energy at the advancing beast. A new pig centered with a blast of icy fog, freezing part of the golden light midair. Beak zipped through and around, trying to avoid the freezing fog, but the frost crept closer with every burst. Realizing that Beak was being overwhelmed, I summoned Shadowclaw. The shadow griffin dove down from the sky, its talons striking at Anupig's flank. The beast roared in anger, spinning to swipe at Shadowclaw with its clawed paw. Their clash was fierce. Shadowclaw's agility kept it out of Anupig's reach, but the freezing mist began to slow its movements. Finally, I called forth Chaos Serpent. The massive snake-like creature erupted from the snow, its glowing body coiling around Anupig. The beast roared and fought back, its icy breath freezing sections of the serpent's coils. The Chaos Serpent squeezed tighter, its glowing energy battling Anupig's frost. Using the distraction, I activated my glyph. The golden light spiraled out, creating a vortex that began pulling Anupig in. The creature thrashed wildly, its claws tearing at the ice, but the vortex's power was unrelenting. With one final roar, Anupig was drawn into the pyramid. Its glyph, a blend of jackal and pig, etched itself onto the surface. The battle had been fierce, but Frostmire's icy guardian was now mine. And that is why I persevere so much, because I caught one of the most strongest and most fearsome glyphs of all. If you guys take anything from this story, is that you can do anything as long as you persevere. Okay guys, so this second story is about this creature that's called an orithon, and they can only be found in Tiki Point. So, the lush, vibrant jungle of Tiki Point was alive with sound, from the rustling of leaves to the distant cries of exotic birds. But deep within the jungle lurked a terror, orithon, a creature with massive black wings, a T-Rex-like snout, and webbed feet. Its dark blue scales shimmered faintly in the dappled sunlight, blending it seamlessly into the shadows of the dense canopy. As I ventured deep into the jungle, the air grew heavy and still. Suddenly a deafening screech cut through the silence. An orithon swooped down from the treetops, its glowing green eyes fixed on me, and it let out a roar that shook the ground. I released Shadowclaw, the griffin taking flight to engage Orithon in the air. The 2 creatures clashed, talons and claws tearing at each other. Orithon's powerful wings created gusts of wind that sent Shadowclaw spiraling. but the griffin retaliated with slashes of shadow energy. To support Shadow Claw, I summoned Beak. The golden scarab zipped through the air, firing beams of light at Orithon's massive wings. The beast roared in frustration, turning its attention to Beak. It lunged with its powerful snout, snapping at the scarab, but Beak was too fast, darting around its attacks. Finally, I called upon Chaos Serpent. The massive serpent coiled up from the jungle floor, its glowing body weaving between the trees. It lunged at Orithon, its massive jaws snapping shut on one of the beast's wings. Orithon screeched and thrashed, its claws raking at the serpent's coils. I activated my glyphid, the golden vortex forming around Orithon. The beast fought furiously, its wings beating against the pull. But the device and its magic was too strong. With one final roar, it was drawn into the pyramid, its glyph a fearsome silhouette of wings and a T-Rex-like snout appearing on the device. And that is my story of how I caught Orithon. It's not a very long story, but it is a story, and I am so happy, you know. This third story is a very unique one, and I call it The Hopping Flame of Seahorse Bay. So, let's get started. The turquoise waters of Seahorse Bay shimmered in the sunlight, but beneath its serene beauty lay a fiery menace, Flarehop, a creature with rabbit-like ears and glowing feathers. It hopped along the shore, leaving trails of fire in its wake, and its playful demeanor belied its destructive power. I spotted Flarehop near a coral reef, its radiant form bouncing across the rocks. I released Beak in hopes that maybe I could corner it quickly, but Flarehop's agility was unmatched. It leaped high into the air, emitting bursts of flames that singed Beak's wings. I summoned Shadowclaw next. The griffin darted through the air. Its shadowy form provided cover for Beak. Together they managed to box Flarehop in, but the creature unleashed a powerful wave of flame, forcing both Glyphs to retreat. Calling upon Chaos Serpent, I directed the massive beast to trap Flarehop. The serpent coiled through the water, creating barriers of glowing energy to block Flarehop's path. The bunny-like creature leaped onto the serpent's back, leaving scorch marks wherever it landed. Activating the glyphid, I aimed for Flarehop's next jump. The golden vortex engulfed the creature, and it struggled fiercely, but its flames flickering wildly. With one final burst of light, Flarehop disappeared into my pyramid-shaped device. Its glyph, a radiant rabbit with glowing ears, adorned the device. So, Flarehop wasn't that hard to catch. He was very easy to catch. But it was almost as if he was trying to be caught. He burnt or singed the wings of my Orabeak, though, which I was very upset about because Orabeak is one of the most strongest and sweetest creatures you will ever meet. So, I didn't like that he did that, but it's kind of my own fault, you know? So, I'll tell you the next story in a minute, and then maybe get some questions, maybe say what the glyph of the week is for this one, and, So, this is going to be a bit of a darker story, because this is a story about shell snap. And this story resides in a place called the Cavern of Endlessness. The Cavern of Endlessness was a maze of twisting tunnels and glowing crystals, its echoes disorienting and its darkness oppressive. Deep within its depths lurked Shell Snap, a turtle-like creature with a toucan beak and a shell marked with intricate carvings and glowing patterns. I ventured into the cavern with my 3 glyphs ready for battle. The air was damp, and the sound of dripping water echoed endlessly. A sudden rumble shook the ground, and Shell Snap emerged from the shadows. Its massive shell glowed faintly, and its sharp beak clicked menacingly. I released Shadowclaw to engaged first, the griffin swooping down to claw at Shellsnap's exposed limbs. The creature retaliated with a powerful charge, its beak snapping at Shadowclaw. Orabeak joined the fray, firing golden beams at Shellsnap's shell, but the attack barely left a scratch. Summoning Chaos Serpent, I directed the massive beast to coil around the Shellsnap and restrict its movement. The serpent's glowing energy clashed with the turtle's impenetrable shell, creating bursts of light that illuminated the cavern. Using the distraction, I activated the glyphid. The golden light engulfed Shellsnap, and it roared in defiance, its claws scraping against the stone floor with one final cry. It was pulled into the pyramid. Its glyph, a blend of turtle and bird-like features, appeared on the device. And that's how I caught this very amazing glyph in my glyphid. So, I feel like each battle was a test of strategy and resilience, but with every capture, my glyph collection grew stronger. And the mysteries of these creatures and my world, Nibiru, drove me forward into the deep and unknown world of Nibiru. So, I have a few things that I want to talk about now. I'm going to talk about the glyphs of the week this time. And then we're going to also talk about the evolutions of the anubrax. So, stay tuned on this episode. This week's featured glyphs, Obular and Scarstorm, bring ancient Nibiru artistry and raw elemental power into the spotlight. Each glyph offers a unique fight style and connection to the mythical past. Obular, a rock psychic glyph, is shaped like a living obelisk adorned with shifting hieroglyphs. It serves as a guardian of wisdom, using abilities like runic blast to unleash bursts of psychic energy, and monumental shift to alter battlefield terrain in its favor. Obular's high defense and strategic versatility make it a cornerstone for monster catchers seeking to outlast and outthink their opponents. Scarstorm, a bug air glyph, channels the swarming fury of desert storms. With shimmering metallic wings and chitinous body patterned like a sandstorm, Scarstorm specializes in agility and disruption abilities like Desert Gale scatter opponents' formations, while Swarm Strike deals precision damage in quick succession. Scarstorm is perfect for players who prefer fast, unpredictable tactics. Together, Obular and Scarstorm celebrate the innovation and mystery of the glyph-catching world, challenging players to explore new synergies and strategies while honoring the enduring legacy of ancient myths. So, I like it. I like them, and I like that we chose these, meaning I chose them. But anyways, I chose them for the glyphs of the week for my world because I think they're really cool glyphs and they deserve some time on my podcast. So I saved this for now. I'm going to be talking about the evolutions of the anubrax and what it has to do with the anupig, because the anupig is the final form of the anubrax. But anyways, anubrax as glyphs. In the vast expanse of Nibiru's cosmic ecosystem, the anubraxians have become not only allies and protectors, but also mystical beings that can be captured and bonded with as glyphs, ancient creatures tied to the energy of the planet. These anubrax glyphs represent a special subspecies of their kind, imbued with elemental and cosmic energies that make them valuable companions for those skilled in the art of glyph bonding. So, anubrax glyph variants, and this I said it like that because there is variants for these anubrax glyphs. And the variants are the evolutions that you can evolve them into. But anyways, so the first one that we're going to talk about is the solar anubrax, which is called Solaris. Solaris is a light fire type glyph. He's a glowing golden jackal with fiery accents along his fur. His eyes blaze like miniature suns, and its staff is a blazing torch. So, the Solaris's abilities is Solar Flare, which blinds enemies, Radiant Burst, which is an area of effect damage, and Warm of Ra, heals allies. So, that is what he does and what he is. We're going to move on to the next one. So, number 2 is a lunar anubrax, and we call it Lunaric. So, Lunaric is a dark haunt glyph, and his appearance is as followed. A sleek, shadowy jackal with silver crescent markings and glowing white eyes. And his abilities are Moonlit Veil, which makes him invisible, Lunar Howl, which summons shadow clones, and Nightshade Bite, which poisons enemies. And that is what that Anubrax does. So, we're going to move on to number 3, which is an astral anubrax, and we call him Asterius. So, Asterius is a psychic ethereal type glyph, and his appearance is as followed. Covered in swirling stars patterns with floating gemstones orbiting its body. And its ability is Cosmic Beam, ranged psychic attack is what it does. Starlight Shield, which deflects attacks, and Dimensional Rift, which teleports things. And that is what that one does. So the fourth one is Sandstorm Anubrax, and his name is Dune. So he is a ground wind type, and his appearance is as followed. Dusty brown with glowing amber eyes and swirling sand patterns across its fur. Its abilities is Sandstorm Surge, which creates a blinding sandstorm. Dune Charge, which is a powerful melee attack, and Earthbind, which immobilizes enemies. And so the fifth one is Primordial Anubrax, and his name is Primrock. So Primrock is a ancient mystic type. His appearance is as followed. Larger and more imposing with glowing hieroglyphics and a multi-hued aura. So his abilities are Hieroglyphic Bind. It seals enemies' abilities. Celestial Pulse, Massive Energy Blast is what it does, and Eternal Guardian, which is passively increasing his defense. So that is what that does. And that is all for that, for all those, because the final form is the anupig, which we already told the story of here, so anyways, we will get on to the next part of this podcast. To capture an anubrax as a glyph, the player must use a celestial pyramid, a special device attuned to the energy of both Nibiru and the anubraxians. The process involves locating the glyph. Anubrax glyphs often inhabit sacred ruins, deserts, or celestial alignments on Nibiru. You have to earn their trust. The glyph catcher must demonstrate worthiness through a battle or by solving ancient puzzles that resonate with the Anubraxian culture. And the glyph bonding ritual is very, very serious. So, the celestial pyramid activates, projecting a beam of cosmic energy to envelop the anubrax. If successful, the glyph is captured and becomes part of the glyph catcher's world and collection. When bonded as glyphs, the anubrax exhibit immense loyalty and power. Each glyph has several movesets, unique abilities tied to its variants and type. Anubrax glyphs amplify the ability of other glyphs in the party when aligned with cosmic or elemental themes. Through battles and training, the anubrax glyphs can evolve into more powerful forms, unlocking new abilities and enhancing their appearance. The myth of Anubrax Legion glyph legend speaks of a rare mythical glyph called the Legion Anubrax, a convergent of all anubrax types. This glyph is said to combine the strengths of every variant, making it one of the most powerful and sought-after creatures in Nibiru's history. Capturing it requires mastering the art of glyph bonding and uniting the energies of the celestial keystone. And this is the very reason why we feel like the anubrax are important, because they're like the link between our world and their world. They come from Khafra Prime. Khafra Prime is their planet, and they somehow ended up here on Nibiru. So that's why we're trying to figure out why. But we don't have any answers yet. We shall soon, though. So, this podcast will be every Monday now, and I hope you guys will come by, sip a cup of tea or whatever it is you drink, or as we drink here on my planet, Noroth. Noroth is like a tea, but it's comes from this really slimy plant in the jungle. Noroth is a very good drink. But anyways, I hope that you will come back next Monday when I do my next episode. See you next time.